Dear brothers and sisters, the topic for this day's meditation is doing Christians rather than saying Christians. Doing Christians rather than saying Christians. I don't know how many number of sermons have been preached on the topic of faith by countless number of preachers, but every time we read the Bible, we find something new to learn. All of us are aware of the verse in Hebrews 11th chapter. Hebrews 11th chapter, first verse says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. What does this mean? I have with me my maternal grandfather's 1952 model Willys Jeep. If I tell this to anyone, and if that person believes me without looking at that vehicle, then I can say that that person has faith in me. On the other hand, if that person first wants to see the vehicle and then believes me, it is not faith. So, faith is believing without seeing. That's why Hebrews 11th chapter, first verse says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Abraham is called the father of faith. Abraham plays an important role in Christianity. We can understand the Old Testament only when we understand the story of Abraham, because the story of redemption starts with God's call to Abraham. Now, let us read Genesis 12th chapter, verses 1 to 3. Genesis 12th chapter, verses 1 to 3. "Now the Lord said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will shew thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great. And thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed." Now, let us have a look at Abraham's family. According to some historians, Abraham's father Terah was one of the most important persons in the court of King Nimrod, who ruled Ur in Chaldees, in Babel or Babylonia. Terah had 3 sons, Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Let us now look at Abraham's faith journey. According to Jewish tradition, Abraham's father was an idol maker. Abraham left his family in Ur in modern-day Iraq and traveled northwest along the trade route and the Euphrates River to the city of Haran. Abraham settled in Haran in modern-day Israel with his family. Abraham's faith looks close to insanity, but he demonstrated remarkable faith and trust by leaving his home and his clan when God called him to an unknown territory in Canaan. It is not an easy thing to leave one's comfort zone and go to a place which is unknown to us. Please recollect that Abraham's father, Terah, was a very important person in Nimrod's court. Most of us pray and we ask God to bless us, but we are unwilling to do our part. We neglect the doing part. The most difficult is the doing part, and Abraham did that. Yes, Abraham committed a few blunders in his initial faith journey, and one of his blunders, once for all, changed the course of human history. Abraham was reborn when he started his journey, and by the time he ended his journey, he became the father of faith. He committed the blunder of taking things into his own hands during the initial stages of his faith, which led to the birth of Ishmael, but his faith gradually increased to the point where he was ready to sacrifice his son Isaac because he knew that his God would provide. As said earlier, Abraham was a doing Christian rather than a saying Christian, and true to his promise, God blessed him and made him a nation out of his progeny. God wants us to do our part. When we read Mark 2nd chapter 11th verse, the person who was suffering from palsy was told by Jesus to arise and take up thy bed and go thy way into thine house. And that sick person did what was commanded. In the Old Testament, Abraham was asked to leave his kindred and go to a place that would be shown by God. In the New Testament, we see Jesus telling this man suffering from palsy to take up his bed and go. And that man did what was commanded because he had faith in Jesus and his healing power. The result was that he was completely healed. But without faith it is impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Hebrews 11th chapter 6th verse. I repeat the verse. But without faith it is impossible to please him, for he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Dear brothers and sisters, may God guide us to become doing Christians rather than saying Christians. Let us become doing Christians. May God bless you.